All right. It's a best of 3, folks. Game number 1. Zamriga, who do we have, and where are they spawning?
In the right as the blue Terran, it's Axiom's Ryung.
So I had to go finish off that tweet. Lots of detailed information. I basically tweeted her stream link with not much else. But spawn here in the bottom left, it is of course going to be Keen. And this is like we're just so spoiled lately. We talked a little bit before we got into the game. All these awesome people are streaming lately. Then we got things like the League Cup, the OlimoLeague. Like lots of these Koreans are now playing the weeklies that we don't normally see. I don't know if it's specifically just because it's the end of the year and things are kind of winding down across all regions, or what exactly the reasoning is. But I can't tell you. Like I've never been happier after all this negativity we've had within like the last I'd say a year or so of StarCraft 2. Really stoked that we're seeing a really just awesome resurgence of players getting involved with things, coming out of their like hermit holes and whatnot.
I like Koreans. I like casting them.
I love Lamp. I like Lamp.
That's pretty much the case, though, is that we never really got to see them outside of, if they streamed, which a lot of them just, I don't know if they not put the effort in. I don't want to show their builds. Both are legit. But, and they just didn't really have anything. And that is why originally the OlimoLeague was created, was because, you realize that they didn't really have anything. I mean, they had the Zotac NA, kind of. But obviously that was on the North American server, and that died. So they didn't have anything. There's no way they're going to play on the EU or go for StarCraft, which is also in EU. Just like really bad lag that only the bravest would try and face. So
actually,
this was created, and then the League Cup was created.
Yeah, you bring up a great point about that. I'm just gonna go off on a little bit of an extended talk regarding that specifically. So feel free to interrupt when cool things like gases and banshees come into play. But the OlimoLeague, a lot of people don't realize this. Everyone, I think, in the North American scene, especially people on Reddit who aren't really super involved, just that sort of blast of, man, the Koreans are just coming and they're taking all our prize money because it's easy to play in North America. And while there's certainly a little bit of truth to that, the problem was there actually wasn't anything in Korea outside of Kespa, outside of Pro League. There was no cup that these guys could play in, whether they're amateurs, B-teamers, or A-teamers. So the OlimoLeague was definitely a needed thing. And while it's not going to stop Koreans from ever leaving Korea and going to North America and playing, or Europe and playing, it does at least provide another avenue where all of a sudden Keen feels less desperate to go, steal the poor NA Amateur Cup's money, and he can play here instead. I mean, that's not the case for Keen. I'm not saying he's a bad guy, but there's definitely that element to it. And it's really cool, and I'm really glad this got going. And I do want to stress, guys, for those who don't know, the OlimoLeague is run through the Patreon program. Definitely got to give this a shout out, because without you guys, some people donate as little as $1 a week. Some people donate as high as $100. I mean, if you've got some money to spare, it's because of you that this tournament happens. So trust me, you're getting good games. I hope you're getting a return on your investment if you're a Patreon, and you're helping support the scene in a big way, whether you realize it or not. So we're like 2 months, almost 3 months into this OlimoLeague ordeal, and it's been a fantastic ride so far, and we couldn't do it without those who support it. So big shout out to all the Patreons out there.
You're the real MVP.
You're the real MVP, except for all the Koreans who are on Team MVP.
And also actually MVP.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. But Banshees are underway here for Ryung. Now, Ryung's actually had a pretty interesting run as far as base trade TV casting him. We had that joke, and I think it still runs a little bit about the curse of casting him. But when we saw him at DreamHack, that actually wasn't the case. And it wasn't until we stopped casting him that he finally lost. So I'm feeling a little bit better about casting Ryung nowadays than once upon a time.
Well, the builds have finally shown themselves, really. It's going to be Banshee versus this little drop right here, and it's always a little bit awkwardly timed, as sometimes this hits as the Banshee has already left the base. Now, I think Ryung did see this coming, so he just leaves it at home, puts the Wood Mine up front. That might help as well. Actually, it might help a lot here. Keen just needs to walk a little bit.
Wow! I can't believe Keen's range from that Hellion was able to get up there, but... Okay, so Ryung loses one Hellion, but he stops the drop for now. There's still the Wood Mine that hasn't gone off yet. I actually love that he's left this by the depots, though. Usually we'll stop those Hellions where the most. However, this drop still has to be dealt with, and these Banshees, there we go, are going to be really, really necessary, because as we see, the Marines just simply aren't cutting it.
Yeah. They're doing a good job. Don't, discredit them or anything, but the Banshees really what make sure that this is, A-okay. Well, breaking the Viking is kind of a cool move. You realize that you killed most of the Marines, and with only 2, it would take a while. But of course, Ryung quick on the cloak.
Yeah, so that was actually pretty bold too, because for Keen, I don't know if you ever actually saw that Widow Mine, because
That's true.
had he flown over it, the Widow Mine will one-shot a Viking, not a Banshee or a Medevac, but a Viking for sure.
It's true too. That would have been a. I'm actually still not sure that they did see it. Of course, you can kind of see the hole if you're really looking for it, and it does show itself right before it fires. But I don't think it ever got a chance to do so.
Well, back at home for Keen. Again, it's not like he really... That was an all-in move, and now he's screwed because he did that. Now we got Vikings, we got the Raven. He's good for the Banshee defense. Ryung's going to have a really hard time actually using it for anything, so might be one of the scenarios where it's just best kept alive for the mid-game. Snap off a tank, get yourself some better positioning. But he's going to come in from both angles at the same time by the looks of it. So draw the attention of one and going with the other.
Yeah, as long as he's cloaked before... Yeah, there you go. But it's still... You know, now there's 2 Vikings out as well. As long as he has any skill, turret, yeah, turret. So that's pretty perfect defense. At this point, you can't even really get like a couple Marines. There's just way too much coverage. But like you said, you could keep him till the late game. If he pushes out, maybe the Raven drags behind, or he forgets to put it over his tanks, and that's where the Banshees get something done.
Risky business. So Marine, or is that not Marine King, sorry, I got him on the brain still. Ryung's actually going to be going for Marines and tanks. It looks like same thing here for Keen. I actually like this because I feel this is that one matchup with the one style where, like, I know you can do mech and whatever, but when you see Marine tank versus Marine tank, it's the one thing where I think the truest essence of the game comes down to positioning more than anything else. There's so many instances where you can either make an epic comeback or an overwhelming victory just because you took a good position going into a fight. So this is my personal favorite style to watch.
Yeah, me too, me too. It's a little disappointing that it has kind of, it revolves sometimes, some games, around Doom drops, which are certainly exciting, but sometimes very just, abrupt. Okay, I get a Doom drop in, okay, I didn't actually defend it, I just got a GG now. Yeah,
I don't disagree, but at least on Overgrowth, you get a pretty nice cover with a Watchtower, so it's not like the easy mode surprise on, like, say, Catalina or something, right?
Yeah, that's true. Catalina's pretty bad, but it's still just so common. I mean,
shout out to Catalina for not being in this tournament, by the way.
Yeah. You can like start putting Marines like you would observers is probably the best idea. Like the 3 common pathways of attack. So of course, I got Marine King on the brain too. Ryung is off to the left of the Marine, checking that counterattack avenue, and off to the right a little bit to see the drops that go up the right side. Really like that as well.
Yeah, it's like that a little bit. But, I mean, this is the thing. Ryung's put a Marine here to try and catch something specifically like that. Widow Mine over here. So, I mean, he's got pretty nice spread on the map to see where his opponent's coming from. And these 2 should see the move out. Okay. Even keeps them alive. Nice.
You do want to stop them from sieging up your natural over there. That's the biggest reason to go ahead and do this. A little dangerous just to go with your tanks, though. He won't be able to quite save that area, I think.
Does Ryung have no Vikings?
No, he doesn't.
Okay, so this one Raven's going to be a little bit awkward. Auto turrets might be better in this particular fight than anything else, but we'll see. Because there's no buffer for the tanks, but at the same time, no combat shields on the Marines, so they can't directly stim in here. But if he can siege up here on that little ramp thing, or the ledge there, rather, it'd be quite dangerous. Does get 2 Seekers off, though.
Yeah, this will kill 1 tank.
Yeah, splash range is a little too far over the other. Meanwhile, Big Attack goes on the other side of the map, and Ryung does try to get on top of this. Picks off a tank or 2. Even a medevac, so while he doesn't exactly storm into the base and slaughter SCVs, he gets some pretty good kills out of this.
Yeah, they're both still very even SCVs. Keen is actually pretty far down in army supply, though. Both 1-1 has finished, and their combat shields, those actually weren't quite done, but no really straight-up head-to-head engagement has happened. Keen tried to get that really nice position, but of course, Ryung with a very nice defense. Had those tanks been any further out, maybe Keen actually just kills the tanks, so they had no buffer. Had they been further in, well, he just would have gotten that position straight up anyways.
Well, you talk about the supply deficit, but it is, again, with this particular style of TVT, honestly, you could be down sometimes like 20 supply, and it's not the craziest deal in the world, because the way Marines are just like this huge, I don't know, buffer of just cannon fodder is the best way I think to describe it.
It's like Ryung's kind of using this Banshee not as, just, surprise and make a couple of Marines, but also a little bit of scouting information.
I mean, picking off a tank's a pretty big deal in this particular situation after he'd already lost 1 or 2 to that Stormin and on his counterattack, or on his main attack, I should say. But whether it's planning to be a Doom drop or not, it looks like it is going to lift up just about everything.
Well, this is going to be
it's actually a really
effective.
sick drop. Yeah. Gets here a little bit late. Secret Missile going to go onto the tank. Does think with his back.
Marines
going to take some splash.
I'll walk into it.
Yeah. He doesn't even fully unload the medevac too. I mean, that was a real... That had potential to be cool, but turned out to be a huge waste for Ryung.
Yeah. Well, I think what was really important was the Raven, and of course he had just the barest of like knowledge it was happening, because the sensor tower finished like as that drop came in. So had the siege tanks had time to siege, maybe a little bit different, but funnily enough, it actually did equalize the army supplies. We're talking about how like that 20 army supply really doesn't, you know, seem to be the defining number as it is in maybe other matchups, because, well, tanks, you know, they kind of cover that, which is how they work, and of course, good positioning and sometimes a failed Doom drop.
Well, Ryung taking his third a little bit earlier is going to be a nice way to get ahead. Keen's, of course, not too far behind on this, but since it's Ryung as the watchtower, sees this move out and decides to back up. Picks up the tank for safety's sake. I actually really enjoy that choice. But as far as unit killing station goes, I mean, 5 tanks for Keen, 3 tanks from Ryung. This is pretty nice if Ryung were to move into it, but if you're trying to go defensive, you're trying to position your tanks into Ryung's already siege tanks. I mean, those extra 2 tanks really don't play that big of a role. What I am looking to see, though, is somebody start segmenting off, whether it's what Keen's trying to do, run around the side, or whether it's what Ryung looks like he was intending to do, and go for a drop to the side. Keen has... Ooh, did he forget his armor? He's forgotten his armor upgrades for now. Doesn't have the money for it at the moment. Hopefully he does not forget this, because it only takes 1 upgrade, like whether it's 1 armor upgrade, whether it's 1 weapon upgrade. I mean, Marine fights change so drastically with upgrades more than any other fight in the game, I feel.
Also not quite dedicating to his vehicle weapons either, as Ryung is getting all of them at the same time, as well as he got that second factory a lot sooner.
Oh, this drop in the natural Ryung.
But Ryung is kind of in position. This is only Marine, so it's not really, it doesn't have any staying power.
Yeah, had there been like a tank or 2 behind us, I think that would have been way more deadly. But at the same time, Ryung, build 1 frickin' turret. Build a sensor tower, you know? Like, this isn't the first time. This is literally the 3rd time Keen's come back here.
Yeah, if you are going to take the base off to the right like this, I mean, you said like this whole left side is open, so I think missile turrets would definitely be worth it. The counterattack, or the drop, whatever you want to call it, for Ryung that went into the natural didn't seem to do a lot of damage. Of course, they met the reinforcements.
Keen going for a drop on top of the tanks. I do like the unsiege there. It ends up being splash damage that kills your own tanks more than the actual Marine drop itself, so Ryung quick with a response, but forced to scan and use a lot of these, I guess, vision techniques to get ahead. It's a couple drops here, do get cleaned up here. He finally put some turrets down as well. But at this stage of the game, this is normally where we see the guy who's got like, you know, 1 to 5 Vikings just be dominant, because he's got that air vision. He doesn't have to burn all these scans, but neither player really with any air control, just mostly medevacs, Marines, and tanks.
Yeah. Keen is up by a little bit of supply here, but again, that shouldn't matter as long as Ryung finds really great positioning. Unless he finds himself in a position where he could get, like, surrounded. I was thinking position as in, like, you know, who has the better arc and whatnot, but if he gets surrounded, then of course that's also really, really terrible. Despite having an upgrade lead for about minutes, surround definitely be a lot better, and actually it seems to be kind of maybe a base. No, Keen actually pulls back.
Keen doesn't know about this though. He's scanning, he sees some tanks, he has no idea if the Marines are just underneath it or what the deal is. But Ryung actually gets the first off a small drop of the main to distract, perhaps. I mean, it's only 3 Marines.
No, I don't know. Keen is pushing, he's pulling back, he's pushing forward, he's pulling back. He really should have pulled back though, is now, well, the other Marines
Ryung's got no tanks with us though, so this is a pretty blitz move. Now his upgrade advantage will carry him a little bit here. Oh, he's gonna focus that CC. Oh, sick snipe! There's so many Marines here, and he can pick up most of them, get away. Bear breaks into the supply depot, busts right on in, and just stutter stepping all over the place. Who cares what he hits? He's just hitting whatever he can. He's done a lot of damage, and now he's gonna try to boost. That's a cooldown boost. Oh, he can drop here into this space too. Oh, Keen's so out of position because now he's gonna run all the way around to catch up with this. Ryung, kill another CC. Killing on the CC. Meanwhile,
like
uses
a lot of the
this...
Marines can't stim.
But look at this. Well, I mean, Keen's chasing after Ryung like the skunk chases the cat in the Looney Tunes cartoon, because over here on the right side, Ryung's now found his opponent completely out of position, moves in to capitalize on this, and will be able to siege up that natural base.
Oh, looks like Ryung will lose out on all but one of those medevacs, but that doesn't matter. I mean, he found like
I feel like the damage is done. He killed the natural. I mean, that is such a big deal.
Yeah, Keen, I feel like a counterattack just has to be in order, and in fact, that's what he chooses to do. A counterattack is ready, but I think Ryung has been preparing for that ever since the first one. He has a lot of units back at home. At least he's going to be able to defend his own natural and his main.
Yeah, sadly 4 tanks are over here though, so actually we'll drop on this one. Drives off the SCVs once again at this command center, and now Keen's only choice is to do this attack. But the SCVs are pre-pulled. They're going to help buffer a lot of this. It looks silly, but it's a big deal. All he has to do is hold. He doesn't have to push Keen back because he's already done the damage on the other side of the field. He's already killed so much more of Keen's base. Marines running from the SCVs. No!
Yeah, Ryung even like picked up his third. He knew that it was coming, and he prepared really, really well.
We're seeing really smart decision making out of Ryung in this game too. This was really cool. It's not just like, you know, he happened to luck out and be in the right position. He very intentionally knew how to draw his opponent away, grab the attention, and attack elsewhere. Now, Keen does hold on to this third base. If he lost this, I'm pretty sure that would have been like the tap out, even if you got the army over here, because he's just done no damage to Ryung while this was going on. Killed a couple refineries, but I mean, as you said, he lifted the base, so hardly devastating damage.
Yeah, not sure if Keen realizes that there is a fourth as well. He hasn't actually gone over to check. He could definitely start sieging that up as a, honestly, kind of a freebie. Obviously, you can't lift the planetary fortress, but he would also give a position.
Though, I mean, the planetary course is really good at stopping Marines, which is mostly what's going to be in the field. Those tanks, though, it's funny. Yeah. It took me the longest time I knew it, but I would always forget that tanks unsieged can outrange a planetary fortress without high staccato tracking. Like. Yeah. You get this big-ass gun that's bigger than the tank itself, but the range is like...
Okay, so here we go. He's sieging up the planetary with just 2 tanks. You know, there's not really any repair going down, so that's okay. Well, I didn't even notice Ryung took his entire army and actually moved it over there. He left a lot of tanks home, though, so again, he's not going to break the natural.
But I mean, even... He just has to spend like 3 SCVs to repair this. He's only got like 1 or 2 on it right now. Oh, there we go, 3. Hey, you see, it's just tank damage is not that much. It's not that scary. He's going to storm in once again, spreads his Marines to avoid this tank fires. He blitzes on top of them once again, removes what few tanks Keen has at home, and advances his own forward. This natural base will most likely die again. This is the main, by the way, that was lifted over. This is how hairy it's getting for poor Keen.
He's gonna try and just like take down at least a base with him as he moves everything over to the planetary. Problem is that when he does that, if Ryung comes in from the back, the tanks will misfire on the planetary at least once before they fire on the Marines. Yeah, but the problem is Ryung's on top of the production for Keen, and I think this is way more desperate than losing your planetary fortress at this point, because now Keen's gonna lose his tech labs, his reactors, he's gonna lose command center if he's not careful, and any chance to produce an army to actually fight back against Ryung. Well, Ryung might only be on like these last 4 mineral patches. He's still mining. He's still got production. Something Keen doesn't have anymore. Yeah, looks like the planetary is going to go down. He could go save the SCVs if he really wanted to. It is 34 SCVs to 17, so still like pretty low for both players. But you know, reminder, they're only mining off of 1 base for the most part, anyways.
Yeah. Feel a little bit bad here for Keen because he played a pretty solid game, but as we said several times leading into this, guys, that positioning is just so key. This medevac giving vision for Ryung, able to keep up with the tanks of Keen. I mean, Keen's got this really nice lockout force set up here, but he's not able to apply anything else. He's soft containing somebody who doesn't care if they're soft contained. This is so messy.
Yeah, very messy.
The starport's starting to burn here. Factories probably should have just been lifted out of the base, to be honest, but slowly losing everything to this tank fire.
Yeah, completely missed Ryung just actually demolishing the force on the other side, by the way. Oh. So that was the last of Keen's really, like, you know, his only hope pretty much in this game.
Number 1
He's going to break out of his main. I know,
Number 1. Right? Alright, but it's game 1, and this is, unlike the last series, the best